Well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to the Family EV podcast. And there is just going to be me, and if you notice, the background is different as well. In fact, I've moved not too far, I'm just downstairs. So, yes, that is a younger version of me and Mrs. Regular EV, and this is the happiest day of our lives. And for those of you still listening, those are engagement and wedding pictures, respectively. I'm down here because it's freezing cold upstairs. I mean, it's not freezing cold. It's not like Michigan cold, but it's definitely California cold. We have a little puppy down here, so I'm keeping an eye out. No Joe either this week. He's indisposed, and in fact, we're running late this week because I was actually on the road. I mean, technically, I was flying, but it was great to be out again. I was speaking at an energy conference on the Russia-Ukrainian security situation. So, let's start off by talking about the fact that I had to fill up my wife's car, which is the Volvo XC60, and it capped out at $75. Yeah, that was expensive. I think I did a little joke about it on YouTube, but anyway, gas prices aren't going to be coming down anytime soon, boys and girls. And it's nothing that energy supply was already tight. You know what? You can go listen to Anderson Cooper, or you can go listen to Alex Jones. I don't care. If you're listening to this podcast, or you're watching myself or Joe's channel, then you already know that we enjoy our cars and we do so very cost effectively. I've just done my tax return for the year. And even if you take out the, nearly $10,000, well, $7,500 I got from the states, from the federal government. I mean, I'm looking at my depreciation schedule. It's not making me money, but my business mileage, which was quite high last year, was almost cash flow positive. But anyway, I digress. This will be a relatively short podcast. I just wanted to check in and tell you some of the things that are going on and some of the thoughts that are going on right now, and where there might be an opportunity for some meetups, as I have been asked about this in the past. So Joe and I are potentially going to be doing this thing in Salt Lake in May. We're still working that whether that can happen or not. But I personally, I'm going to be on the East Coast in June. I'm going to be in New York from the 16th to the 19th in New York City. And then I'm going to be in Portland, Maine until the 26th. And then I'm going to be in the Cape Cod area until the 29th. And I'll be heading from Cape Cod to back to New York on the 30th. So a lot of this is family time, but I will publish some points. And if you want to meet up at a charger, because I will have an electric car now. What I will have is open to question. I currently have a reservation in for a Tesla Model Y on Turo. I have been trying to find a CCS car, not a Nissan Leaf, but there's no ID4s, and there's a Polestar that I could rent, but they want crazy money for it. So I don't mind paying a premium for the electric car, because my other choice is a Chrysler minivan. But we'll see. And by the way, if you are in the New York area and you want to rent your car to me on Turo and have it featured in the channel, and it doesn't have to be an ID4, but as long as it is a sizable car, because it's going to have me, my wife, the kiddo, Auntie Lisa's going to be with us, and crucially, there will be a show dog, although he will be traveling in a crate at all times because we don't like pet hair in our cars either. Then get in touch. regularrevdad@gmail.com. We do need the car from the 19th to the 30th. Just let me know. And then the EV news this week's been kind of boring. Rivian's only going to produce 25,000 vehicles this year, which is disappointing, but that's supply chain issues. They're also going to change the battery chemistry of their smaller battery pack, which isn't surprising. And there are literally chemical benefits to doing that, as well as cost benefits. You've already got the room because you designed it for something else, so why not use the room? You're not going to increase the weight that much. You lower the cost. You get more vehicles out. No brainer. By the way, I'm also happy to rent your vehicle. If it's Tesla Model Y and you just want to rent me yours, or a Model S, but it does need to be at least a 85, 90 or a long range. I'm not fussy on this one, but definitely no Model 3s, I'm afraid. Absolutely no room in there. A Model X would be lovely. But yeah, not enough space in a Model 3 for all the gear, for a family, for traveling that amount of time. So that was the Rivian thing. What was the other thing that was on my mind? Very interesting on the Tesla thing. The Model Ys, we're going to end up in a situation where we have some Model Ys with 4680 batteries, some with the existing ones, people cancelling orders because they want the latest version. I mean, this isn't a smartphone. This is a $60,000 investment, so I get you wanting to have the latest one, but also this is untested technology. So I don't know how I feel about this one. I believe this might be entitlement gone wrong. I get the benefits of the structural battery pack and everything else. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not sure. I'm not risking my money in this situation, so I'm not too worried about it. What else is going on? So then I'm having a fantastic game right now with myself, although I think I've finally made as of this morning, I've made a decision. So the company I used to work for recently received $1 billion investment. And as a consequence of that, they are buying me out of my shares, which is fantastic. This is why, it was hard work, and you probably saw the stress in my face at multiple times. But this is the reason we do these things. And there is benefit to this. So there's some boring things which we're going to do in terms of updating the house and funding my little co-pilot's 529, so I never have to worry about her college and things like that. Those are the things that are important to me. Going to get a new roof, which is sexy as hell. And probably upgrade the solar system and put some batteries on the side of the house and make us independent and And I've just seen my first butterfly of the year. There was a monarch going by, which tells me that spring is on its way, even though it's cold. And I was thinking about cars, because it's time to get rid of Mrs. Regular V's XC60. It just had its 100 and something thousand miles service. There was only one part replacement, which was a boot, and that was $80. But the servicing bill was $780, and it's time for it to go. Especially when gas is as expensive as it is, and that thing only drinks premium. He gets very angry if you put regular fuel into it, and it's time for it to go. Mrs. Regular EV now gets it. She understands the benefits of it. She trusts them. That road trip to Pasadena did its job. And I'll come back to that in a minute. Because she now sees that, the human capacity and the battery capacity are not that dissimilar, especially traveling with a kid. And so she is of a mind that, swapping out her car for an electric car might not be the worst thing. So where does that put us? Well, if you're not aware, I'm in love with the Audi GT e-tron. Audi e-tron GT. I love it. And there is one that I could have for a reasonable amount of money. And don't get me wrong, this is a first world problem, and I should feel bad about it. I worked my bloody ass off and went through nervous and mental exhaustion to achieve this thing, and so I'm not going to feel too bad. But I was reading an article today about how much you could get in the trunk. And it is not a practical vehicle because it is more triangle than rectangle. And so, drum roll, not a huge surprise. Porsche Turismo wins. Yeah, I was surprised. I really was. The Model X would have been perfect, but you just can't justify the I still have to think about it. But the Model X, I'm just bringing it up on my screen right now, is... Let me find it. Tesla shop. Model X. Order now. $98,000, so $100,000. No, a $750 clean fuel reward. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not even the real price. It's $110,000. That's the with savings price. $110 and change $1,000. And it's don't get me wrong, that's fantastic. It's a great car. That's with a 5-seat layout. You can pay more and whatever, but it's the extra space. You get an e-tron for $70,000, and you don't get the Tesla network, but I think we demonstrated. Now the e-tron, and not the e-tron GT, but the e-tron SUV, is a little on the thirsty side, but it's forgivable. I find it interesting that the ID4 will go further on a charge by some 30 miles, but the e-tron will charge faster, charging at a constant 150 essentially. I find it weird that they don't have the same 800 volt system that they do in the Taycan and the GT in that. But anyway, it has to be said that, and given how this money is going to come to me, because it won't be capital gains, it's going to come as income. The Taycan Gran Turismo is the Taycan Turismo. Now, I'm only looking at the standard specs, which I know is a luxury in its own right. But I have it's the 4-Cross Turismo. Now, I don't get me wrong, I find it amusing. They start at $93,500. You're not going to find one. In fact, right now in stock there are 30 across the country. There are some things which I consider to be absolutely essential. One of those is the roof rails. That's a non-negotiation, because I think we're going to need some space. But the trunk is usable. The Audi e-tron GT trunk is just not usable space. However much I love that vehicle, and I think that the Taycan Cross Turismo is everything. Now, it's going to be a sizable purchase. I'm looking at spending clearly up to $120,000 on this, but I've earned it, and we're doing all the sensible things first. And believe it or not, this is the vehicle that is likely to get traded in for an ID Buzz. Yeah. possibly the ID4. We'll see where we are in a couple of years' times. But yeah, that happened this week. The ID Buzz was announced. Now, here's the other thing. I was informed that we may actually see this year, and I find this hard to believe, but in fact, I will just double check. Hold on. I want to make sure I say this correctly. Where's the message? That this year, the Aero, I think this was also known as the Vision, and this is the long roof, basically, saloon. It's essentially the ID6, but lower and longer. And we may see that arriving in late 23. So, and then the Buzz arriving in late 24 in the US. Remember, this is the US, not Europe. So that's quite interesting. It's being final, they've got to do, but it's interesting. Also, and I find this amusing, and I doubt it will happen, but whatever. Apparently we might get an OTA in the next couple of weeks. However, the car will need to go in for a day. I think they have to upgrade the battery. And I have been getting 12-volt battery problem warning error, so I've not done anything about it. I think they're going to be swapping it for a lithium-ion battery with a separate controller in it that they can work with. And then apparently we're also going to get a big update to CarNet. So maybe we'll have dog mode. Maybe we'll be able to know where our car is. Crazy, huh? How new is that idea? But yeah, I think the Porsche is going to happen, and then we might just go down to a regular, Vision or whatever they call it, long roof, and the ID Buzz. Mrs. Regular V is even mine to agree with all this, so we will see. But I can't make any decisions. I can't do anything until the money arrives, obviously. But let's assume that the minute it does, I will. And then my treat, not that that's not a treat in itself, but my treat to myself will be to have that vehicle shipped out to New York. Yeah. And that will be the vehicle that we vacation with, and then I may. Mrs. Regular V is going to be flying home. She has to be in Texas the following week, so I think you can see where this is going. I think I'm taking it to Texas. I'm going to work from the road for a couple of days and drive it to Austin. You know I love Austin. You know why I love Austin. So we'll see. We will see. I have hope, and hopefully this thing will close towards the end of March, in the early part of April, because I can only choose from what's in stock. They're not making Taycans anymore, so there's a risk this might not happen because they've had to stop because of the Ukraine situation, and parts that were made there they've had to actually cancel manufacturing. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm interested to see what happens. And then one last thing, tires. So this week I got a flat, and that is because I was very stupid and I had not replaced one of my rear tires that badly needed it. So there's a picture if you go to, I think I put it on both regular. Oh no, it's only on Regular EV Dad's channel. So go to Regular EV Dad and you'll see a community post with a picture of the tire. You could actually see the metal on it. Yeah, that was silly, very silly, very stupid. The truth of the matter is, I'd had one tire replaced, and I'd just completely forgotten about this one. I'd had a flat, and that tire was replaced, and I couldn't get any of the tires locally. I'd ordered them from Tire Rack, and Tire Rack lost the tires. The courier delivered them to somewhere that isn't my house, and I have no idea where it is. And I just had that one change, but knowing that the other one would turn up, and then a million things happening. So Yeah, we got 30,124 miles out of that tire. Um, there wasn't another mile left in it. We got them all. But the car is now properly shoed again. The other tires have got less than. Have we been anywhere? Oh, just down to LA. There's maybe 1,000 miles difference on the other three tires. They were all changed over 1,000 mile, over a few hundred miles. Rather annoyingly, because I had complete punctures, I had to keep taking the tires off and taking them down. It's just how it went down. But yes, the car is now safe and has all fresh rubber all the way around. Which brings me to my point. I am hoping to get my hands on some new wheels for the ID4. And some not Martians, from their name now, and also to look at some Hankook tires. So Hankook tires. Anyway, short episode, but we'll be back next week with more news, more information, and we'll know a lot more about what's going on. And if you have been, thanks for listening. Be safe.